Well, that dude in New York that I used to know in the 80s, he was never my friend, but he was just like this crazy wingnut guy that got written up because he had this girlfriend that was she was a European model in all these fashion magazines, and then she disappeared in like '88, and I knew I was already living in New York. I was like he killed her. I know he fucking killed her because I mean he did, of course he did, but at the time, like they hadn't found the body or anything yet. And I used to see him at the soup kitchen all the time, and her name was Monica, and people were asking like, hey, what happened to Monica, you know? And people like, I haven't seen her for like a week, 2 weeks, whatever. And I remember talking to friends in New York. I'm like, fucking Daniel killed her, man. Like, you know how fucking crazy that dude is, man. Like, because he lived in this one squat, and he used to kill all these chickens, and he would kill cats and dogs, and like fucking put pentagrams in their blood all over his room. And he's like this big dude. He's like big fucking scary guy. He was like probably like in his late 20s, and I was like 18, 19. All my friends were around the same age. So he was like 10 years older and like way bigger and way stronger than us. So we were all pretty scared of this guy, and I didn't want anything to do with him. And then and then his fucking girlfriend disappeared, and then it turned out that he fucking killed her. He chopped her head off, put her head in a locker at Grand Central Station at the train station, and then he fucking cooked up her body in a big vat, and he served it to people in the park. I never ate it because I wouldn't eat anything that, like, if that guy ever offered me shit, like I would never take anything.
So you can like, I could Google this. And
totally, yeah, it's totally true.
What was his name?
He's in an institution for the criminally insane in upstate New York. But the reason I brought it up was because that guy, like, he gets like tons of fucking marriage proposals, like, to this day. His name's Daniel-rakowitz. I think Rakowitz is like Rakowitz, like that. But yeah, he didn't get sentenced to prison. He got sentenced to the state asylum. He's been in there like 30 something years, but yeah, he gets like tons of fucking marriage proposals. Yeah, you could read that. That happened in like 88, 89 in New York, and
So you were staying in the same squat?
For a little while, yeah, but that's not where he killed her. He killed her in this other apartment. Like she got money because she was like a fashion model, so she ended up getting this apartment. All the dead animals were at this one squat that we're all staying at, but then he moved into this apartment with her, and that's where he killed her and boiled her on 9th Street.
That's fucked.
But I knew, like, I didn't know how she died, but I knew that he killed her like probably 2 or 3 weeks before it became news, because no one had found her body, and people on the street were like, no, she just like left. She was from Europe, and people were like, oh, she went back to Europe, like, it's, you know. And I was like, no way, man, like, Daniel's fucking crazy. Like, and all the people that had seen all the fucking dead dogs and dead cats, and like, he would just kill all kinds of fucking animals, man.
So like, people in the squats were just like, you just be like, oh, they didn't say anything like, maybe don't kill animals in the
No, people were scared of him, and he was like, he's a drug dealer too, so he always like he would give a lot of the younger kids, like, he would just give them drugs and give them samples and shit, like, here, try this, man. And so people were always like, oh yeah, Daniel, he's crazy, but like, he's cool, he gave me drugs or whatever. So people just it was just kind of like the apathy. Like, I don't think the people liked that he killed animals, but they were like I was fucking terrified of him, you know. I was like 18. I wasn't gonna fucking confront the dude, man. I was like, this guy's crazy. We used to go in there like 3, 4, 5 people at a time with like baseball bats and bricks, because he had to climb a rickety ladder and go past his room to get to like where we all slept. It wasn't even really like a squat. It was just like a fucking flop house. But we would all go in a big group because it was like 1 or 2 of us. And he'd flip out, like, he'd just fucking kill us. He had like big knives and like tons of weapons. I don't ever remember seeing a gun, but he had like all kinds of knives and shit. So we'd always go back there like in a group.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, dude was fucking nuts. But yeah, you look him up, man. Daniel-rakowitz, fucking Monica, I don't remember her name, but yeah, a lot of people in the park ate that, man. Like, so many people in the park ate it. And then the whole reason he got caught too was because after that happened, he started telling people like that. Eventually he got to the point where he started telling people that he killed her, and a lot of people didn't believe him, and he's like, no, I did. I fucking killed her. I can prove it. And then he got really mad because people didn't believe him, and he fucking brought the cops to Grand Central, and he opened the locker, and her fucking head was in there. It was like a month or like 2 months later, and the fucking head was in the locker.
Wouldn't that have smelled horrible?
You'd think. I think it was like, I don't know all the details.
Maybe it was in bags.
Maybe it was in bags. I don't know exactly, but yeah, he brought the cops to the station, and they opened it, and then like it was like he wanted bragging rights, and they fucking got the head, and then he went to trial, but they said he was like not guilty by reason of insanity, but he got like life in the mental ward. And then there's this lady named Crazy Bertha. She was about 350 fucking pounds. She was nuts, man. And she was in love with him. And then I remember like seeing her. She used to go up to this asylum, and I don't know if they had conjugal visits or what, but she would always go and visit him and stuff. And she'd come back like always like talking about like how well he was doing and how she was gonna have a family with him. She was fucking nuts, man. Yeah, she's crazy. This one time she passed out at the anarchist bookstore, and they like, well, she passed out. She like pissed herself, puked on herself, and she just like was on the floor, and they were closing up the bookstore, and they were like Bertha, you gotta go. Like you can't just like sleep on the floor of the bookstore. Like we gotta close up for the night. And she was fucking huge, and she started like kicking and flailing, and then like about must have been like 10 of us. We all just like grabbed her, like her arms and her legs, and just like did like a fireman's carry, and like carried her up the stairs and we just put her out on the street. She's so fucking heavy and just like kicking us, man, and just covered in fucking piss and puke. But we carried her out on the street. That was like one of the last times I ever saw her.
She was the one that was into the serial killer guy.
She was the one that would go up there like on the bus every however often the visiting days were, and she would go in. She said that she was fucking him, but I don't know. I think before, yeah, but once he was in the institution, I don't know, because I don't know if that place like kind of doubt they have conjugal visits.
I feel like there's certain ex-girlfriends that you have who I could see also being into.
I don't know. Yeah, look that dude up, man. He's fucking batshit crazy. Yeah, there's all kind of articles about him in the papers back then. Like he was like headlines all across the country.
I didn't ever hear about it.
He might have been too young. I don't know. Yeah. He was written up in all like the New York papers and everything. And
I guess that is more extreme than Gigi Allen a little bit.
That's a little bit more extreme, yeah.